Knights? I'm your boy JiggaManPorto, and we can't talk Knicks without Jerry Ferrara and Drew Austin. Happy New Year, fellas. How we doing?
How we doing? What's up?
Well, it's a new year. Let's go. The time is now. We're kicking it off with a huge game tonight. Let's go.
Dude, so before we even jump into a whole bunch of Knicks stuff, can we highlight Jerry on the Tiki and Tierney show yesterday? How you doing? Way to go, Jerry. You killed it.
Listen, you can't really plan for these things. Brandon Tierney, Tiki's co-host, and I go way back. I actually did a radio show with Tierney after a Knicks game in like 05, right? BT's a Brooklyn boy like me, and obviously Tiki's a fellow Knight. So we got to kind of get BT a Knight now because he's doing the whole old man, like, I don't know what this NFT stuff is. I talk sports. It's like, yo, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Listen, it was the best, 5 minutes. It was Knicks conversation and Knights of Degen. I was like, yeah, I'm sold. How you doing? It was perfect.
They're recording of that. I'd love to like see that.
Yeah, it's out there and all of it. So I'll get that clip and we'll share it with everybody. Awesome. But Jerry, so obviously we need to get him knighted.
Yes.
But did you pay him back the $20? He keeps making sure everybody knows you owe him.
I don't even remember that, by the way. I don't even remember owing him $20, but he doesn't have Venmo either. Shocking. He doesn't have Venmo either. What a shock. I have to go hand him cash in New York City.
So Drew, based on the background, looks like you're still up in your Warwick area after a big roadmap meeting.
Yeah, we had a whole Knights of Degen team out here. Not the whole team. We had, missing a few people, missing Jerry, missing Jigga, missing Jack, Shara, Cynthia. So we had about, I think, 7 of us up here. So we had 7 of us up here, spent the entire day yesterday just working on the roadmap. It's just like, going through, we got a lot of stuff coming up. There's just so much stuff over this next 12 months. So we really kind of laid out a plan for the next 12 months and tried to understand where certain projects are going to fit quarterly, then monthly, etc. There's just a lot going on. And then also a lot of sporting events that we're going to be participating in. So like everything from March Madness to Super Bowl to, stuff like that. So in real life events, digital experiences, all of that kind of stuff. So that needs to be weaved into the whole schedule. So overall it was freaking awesome. And then we probably went from like 10 to 10 and just grinded.
Right.
And then I got hammered as hell. So I'm still like struggling. I think by the time I went to sleep at 3 a.m. and it's 6 whiskeys or 7 whiskeys, I'm feeling it right now. But we had a great time. It was awesome.
All right, so now we know, Jerry, every once in a while, if he changes color, like gets a little pale, we just transition and, let Drew not talk. All right?
Yeah, you can just mute. We'll fly. You can fly. We'll fly it for you.
Yeah, all right, guys,
we're all waiting for Jerry to get out of the middle of the country a little bit and get back to New York so we can get him up here.
Listen, there's rumors coming that the kid's returning to the promised land. There's rumors. There's lots of rumors.
You heard it here first.
And may even get myself to a Knicks game too. Yeah, guys, I'm locked up in a cabin in the woods over here.
I know you have them.
Well, why don't we have like the full
I had it last week, and then I realized that my chin is all white hair. So I'm like, I got a haircut today. So I'm like, let me start to look human again.
Yeah, coming in fresh today. Guys, let's jump into the weekly recap. What the thunder happened? 95-80 loss. Let's start with that one first. Listen to these stats, guys. RJ, 26 points. Solid. Okay. Mm-hmm. Second highest scorer, quickly with 11 points. And there's no point of even highlighting anybody else. Was I the only one that thought that was a game we should have walked away with?
Absolutely. And you know what? It's like, I think that was a little bit of be careful what you wish for. We were all like, look, it sucks that Randall has COVID and hopefully he's okay. And he will be okay. But there's a great chance to see like Obi and the young guy. And we saw some good things. That being said, I truly believe in my heart of hearts, if we have Randall, we do not lose that game.
Agreed.
Tom Thibodeau attributed it to like some random back-breaking play where the Knicks played 24 seconds of defense and a tip offensive rebound and dude hit a 3. I just felt like we were a man short, but it was a good bounce back after that. That was terrible. Those are the exact games I'm terrified of. 2 losses to the Magic, a loss to the Thunder, Who else did we almost lost to the Pistons? There's 5 games out there that just should never have happened, and I don't know. That's going to cost us in the end.
Yeah.
I think this was again. I'm going to say that I think that this whole COVID experience for Randall was needed, and it's needed in a bunch of ways. It was needed not only in the fact that he needed a break mentally, physically. The guy was just running on fumes, but I think the fans needed it too. I think we had to remember the fact that like. It's kind of like the Patrick Ewing situation where, Ewing was always underappreciated when he was on the court. And when he was gone, we were just so thankful that we had a captain at the center of our team for all those years. And we didn't really appreciate him until he was gone. And Randall, just a quick little break, we realized that the offense is completely lost without him. Not only does he, because he's not only needed to score, he's needed to be able to create space for others, to draw double teams. He's been a much better passer this year. So I think it was another good thing to like rekindle. I mean, I think we needed this as New Yorkers, because the relationship has been fractured since that first round playoff loss between the Knicks fans and Randall. There was a love affair for the entire year, all NBA, all-star, chanting MVP, and then all of a sudden the season ended like the end of Game of Thrones. And it was just like all of a sudden you look back at the fucking Knicks season last year and you're like, what a great show, but that ending was just so bad you just can't actually appreciate it, because that's literally how I feel about Game of Thrones, by the way. But the reality is like now he came back. He's had a rough year. We've been struggling with him. We gave him the contract and all of that. And I think that once we saw the team without him, it showed how much he's really a big part of this team. And then, fast forward a quick second, but like last game, he played fantastic. Like he played fantastic.
And we'll get to that, because I think that also ties into, 2021 Drew Austin conspiracy theories. And I want to talk about that again. Right. So after that Thunder game, we had, who we thought we owed one to, right? And we lost to the Raptors, 120-105. Fournier, 20 points. OB, 19 points. Barrett, 19 points. That game was so sloppy.
So terrible. It was way worse than 120-105.
Yeah, it really was.
Bottom line is the Raptors are good. The Raptors are good. I said it before in our last show, they're a horrible matchup for us because they have a point guard who could get to the rim, even though he's small. Fred VanVleet is the point guard that I think all Knicks fans wished we would have signed. Mm-hmm. He's on a tear right now. He's playing. He's one of the best scorers in the NBA. He's been one of the best scorers in the NBA. And now they're kind of full strength. We lost to them without Scotty Barnes. We lost to them without Siakam. Both guys are present. So I really thought we owed them one, and if you look where the Raptors are in seeding right now, I think they're sitting 8th maybe or 7th or not. Like they're very much in the mix. They're obviously well coached. They're an awful matchup for the Knicks, and I actually think I'm real bull. I think the Raptors are good, and I think they're actually gonna. I think they might actually be the 6th seed by the time this thing's over. They might lock up one of those spots and leave a team like Philly on the outside looking in and might be stuck in the play. I think the Raptors are for real. Like they're gonna be a problem. They're annoying to play.
Mm-hmm. And they just have that one pace the whole time. I mean, they're just constantly on go.
They're good.
Like you watch them play us, and it's like, man, I wish we had that energy that they're putting into that game, because we looked dead. We looked sloppy. I mean, like you said, Drew, 105. I'm shocked we even got to 105. Right?
It really is like, I don't want to make this into like Raptors night, because I'm not trying to do that, but you do have to like look at the front office over there and Masai Ujiri and just be like, wow, they took the gamble on Kawhi, won the ring, he bolts, slight little rebuild. It was the bubble situation, so who the heck knows what that team really was. Then Lowry dips, they get VanVleet, they draft well. Everyone was a little shocked by the Scotty Barnes pick. That dude's like all NBA defender like right now. And they're irrelevant already. They're one of those unique, like, we're going to rebuild and compete, which I think is really a sweet spot for any organization. And everyone should take a deep look at how the Raptors did it, because it's pretty good.
Yeah. All right, moving on from the Raptor love. Drew, we're coming to you on this one.
What's up,
all
dude?
Right. Thank you for beating someone, taking down the Pacers. We walked away 104-94. But we got that Randall that you said need a break, that possibly didn't have COVID. Whatever, your conspiracy theory. But I mean, is it just me, or did we really see the Batman and Robin tag team that we want to see when we're watching Julius Randle and RJ.
Well, first of all, RJ is just a really confusing player, and I'm struggling with him a little bit. Like, I just don't know who is he. Like, I just don't know what player we're going to get with him. I don't know who he is as a player. I can't, like, there's just the consistency is so all over the place. There were nights where this guy looks like an absolute utter star, like a star ball player, and then other nights where he just can't deliver. So, like, I don't really fully get it, to be perfectly honest with you. What I don't. When is it maturity? Is that going to I don't know. I'm trying to get to a place where I can really understand. Why is it that RJ is capable of dropping 30 points in a game, 19 and a quarter. He had just an all around 32, 8 and 3, like just a solid game. I mean, Julius Randle 30 and 16. You couldn't ask. That was just like the perfect rebound game to show fans what he's about. Like, you couldn't ask for more from him. But I don't understand Barrett. I mean, Jerry, what's your thoughts on Barrett?
So couple of things with RJ, right? And I don't think it's a maturity thing. I actually think RJ, for his age, is one of the most mature players to come in at that age that we've ever seen. And
I'm just saying, is he still too young in general?
Right.
I don't know.
Look, first thing, I know the guy wants to be great. Like, he is one of those. I'm not saying he's Kobe Bryant, but like skill. I'm just saying, like, he's one of those, like, the dude's a gym rat. He's always in the gym. I don't think for 1 second RJ is not trying to improve. He obviously stays in phenomenal shape, and he's young. I just think it boils down to 2.5 things with him. And here's what they are. Are you going to become a consistent jump shooter, whether that's from 3 or from the mid-range? That bottom line, because he kind of was last year, and that's why everyone was so high. For the most part, he was one of our best shooters, specifically from 3, and he kept it up for most of the year. It was a rough start to the year, but from the All-Star break on, he was lights out. This year is kind of reversed. He started off pretty hot, and then it's just been off a cliff shooting-wise. So that's one. It's just got to get consistent, and he's only in year 3, so it is very early. Yeah. Second, he is so good going to the hoop. It's actually one of those things where, like,
I want to see more.
You know where he wants to go, and he still could do it. When you know a guy wants to go left, and he still goes left and gets by you, that means it's elite. We got to see him add, and we've seen it. It's there. It's, again, can he go right consistently and develop a little more playmaking while going right? And the half that I throw in there is, because he has done this before, on those bad shooting nights, can you still impact the game? And he can. That's where I think he's a unique player. He could still grab 12 boards. He could still lock somebody up. So there are ways when you have that, when you look at some of the stat lines where it's like, oh God, he was 2 for 8 in the first half, and maybe he gets in his head. We need to just make sure he's still competing and being effective. And I do think that him and Randall may not be the best matchup cohesively together in the offense. They both need the ball. They both want to go left. They both want to drive, and they both could be inconsistent from so it's a lot of things, but still, I mean, it's a great bounce back. Again, the Pacers had, 2 or 3 G League dudes in there, but still, a win is a win. And we're going to talk more about the Pacers later, I hope.
Yeah, so real quick. So RJ, I agree with you. I'd like to see him play a little bit more of a 90s basketball game where he's inside than outside instead of outside inside. I think he can, if he develops a better post-up game, and because he's actually really big and strong. He's a 2 guard, 3 small forward. Like, he can play the 2 or the 3. He's a big 2 and a big 3. So I honestly think that if he played, like, in games where he's not shooting well, that's no excuse for him not to score 20. He has got to be an everyday 20-point scorer, and on games that he's not shooting well, he needs to play bully ball. He needs to play back to the basket or drive to the basket, because he's really got the strength to finish around the basket. And I also think that when you're not shooting the well, getting a couple 10-foot jumpers or 6-foot little tosses in the ball, it gets your momentum back. You want to see, as a streak shooter, you got to see the ball go through the hoop before anything else goes. And, like, he's not the best 3-point shooter. He's not. He's an inconsistent point shooter.
He's down on the 3-pointers. I mean, last year he was averaging 40.1%. Right, not great, but this year
that's
he's
great.
Only at 32,
I mean, that's
32.7% this year.
But that's to me what consistency from him looks like. It's he is a 20-point game a scorer every single game. The games that the threes are hitting, he drops his 30. The games that the threes aren't going, he drops his 20. And if the threes aren't dropping, he takes it to the basket and he plays back to the basket basketball and opens up the court for others, and then learns and improves how to pass out of the double team, because eventually once he starts to pound the basket down low, he'll start to draw some double teams, which is also interesting. So, you know, I think that there's a lot of room for him to develop his game further. I think that we need to see I think that someone like him needs to not follow the trend of running to the 3-point line every second you can. And it just and for some players, you will be a better basketball player to not follow the trend and dominate as a great mid-range ball player. An interesting example of a guy who I think has a great mid-range game and didn't need to can hit a three, but didn't chase the three is Jimmy Butler. I think Butler has a good mid-range basketball game, and he kind of stuck to it. He didn't chase the trend as much of these guys run. There was plays where I watched Quickly do a play recently where the guy just ran backwards 10 steps just to get behind the 3-point line and then fired this off balance three. And I'm
I kind of loved it.
I hear you. I thought it was, but I just thought it was a little ridiculous. I'm like, the kid was he had an open shot from the free throw line. He turned, fucking booked it, went to the 3-point line and shot. And I was just like, I don't know. It's a little. Maybe I'm also just an old school basketball fan that misses the days of let's pound it into Patrick and then run the offense through him. And
those days are over.
That league is over.
But I still think there's a game for the Carmelos, the dominant mid-range ball players that can body you and can and can really muscle you as a small forward.
Yeah, agreed. So Jerry, I know you want to talk Pacers, man. So let's do it. Let's start there with that.
Well, and if this steps on a future topic, then let's just fade out and keep it moving. But if we're not going to get there, okay. If there's no trade segments that we want to specifically discuss today, let's
go there because Pacers.
But if there is,
here's the team that's
if I'm a GM, if we're doing pretend GM corner for a minute, okay.
All right.
I am picking up the phone, and I'm sure the Knicks have a lot of teams. I am calling the Pacers because they clearly want to kind of disband this thing, clearly want to rebuild a little bit. They never have really quite blown it up over there. They've never have pressed the button and said, let's get rid of the Paul George thing was close, but they got so much back that it never quite was a blow up for them. They're always still kind of hovering around. It never quite said hey, let's just go for the top draft pick. Maybe that's happening. I'm not sure. But if you were not impressed with Miles Turner in that Knicks game, and that dunk over Taj Gibson, and still, I cannot believe the guy's only 25 years old. I just think that he's leading the league in blocks. I think someone is going to mess around and make a real offer and get him. If that someone is a playoff team, everyone's going to be how did Miles Turner go to this team and now they have him locked up for a while? I just think that Miles Turner could be a problem for a lot of people if he goes to a real contender. I also, obviously, we talked about Brogdon last week, but I even LeVert's a sneaky good player. We need that kind of playmaking, shot creating. He's had injuries and stuff like that. Maybe you could get him on a price. I don't know. And Sabonis is never really going to happen. It's just not a fit with the Knicks, and I think the price would be too high. I'm calling about Miles Turner.
What did you
really kicking the tires?
We talked about this once before. I forgot what you said. Randall for Sabonis. Who do you take?
I stay put. I think it's lateral. I think I love Sabonis, but Sabonis really needs a lead guard to create. He's not a creator. He's great in the pick and roll. He's great in the pick and pop. He's a great rebounder. He's great around the rim. At least with Randall, with the current makeup of the Knicks,
he can create a shot.
He creates shots, and Sabonis doesn't necessarily. Although he's a great screener, he's a great screener, gets guys open. I love Sabonis. You need to have a Brogdon you need to have a lead guard to go with Sabonis, and you probably need it with Randall too. But Randall could cover a lot of those holes.
Well, guys in the chat, we always put the invite out there. Jump on, give us your thoughts. We got someone checking in. Has some things they want to talk about. Let's bring Trippy OG on there. Hey, Trippy, how you doing?
How y'all doing? Y'all can hear me?
Salute. Yeah. Yes, sir. So what's on your mind, Trippy? Tell us.
Y'all just brought it up with the whole Miles Turner situation. Just him as that piece. I feel like he's one of those guys that needs to be on this team. regardless of the whole, friendship between him and Randall, he just fits perfectly well with this team. You want a big that can stretch the floor, but also play defense. And if we could possibly pull a way to do it, to still have Mitch come off the bench, you know what I'm saying? That would be perfect. But sadly, with Durable, Noel, I don't think that's going to happen because you barely see him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But personally, just having him on this team would do wonders for us. Would do wonders.
So let's talk trade for a second. Would you give up Randall? Would you give up Mitch, a first round pick? I wouldn't. I think Knox is now untouchable, but
Fort Knox.
Fort Knox. But no, would you be comfortable doing Mitch in a first round for Miles?
Be honest with you, I'm gonna have to say yeah, just because I like the work and potential that Jericho Sims brings. He brings the same thing that Mitch has, but just with a little bit more post moves with it. You know what I'm saying?
And Noel's a nice backup. Noel's gonna be a backup center.
So it's still perfect. It's definitely still perfect. But I would do that. Like if we had no choice and you didn't have to worry about losing Obi Toppin in the same token with it, I'm going that route. I'm gonna have to let Mitch go.
Jerry, did you say Knicks and did you say Mitch in a first?
Mitch in a first.
And our first, right?
Yeah.
So look, first of all, I mean, I think Miles Turner's stock is high right now, justifiably. So he's been playing really well, although the Pacers are clearly really not. And they also have been decimated like every other team, missing players. So it may be even a touch more expensive than that potentially, which might make me balk. But if only because we do have, and then Dallas has gotten hot. We do have the Dallas pick, but Dallas is now 20 and 18, trending upward a little bit. So that pick gets worse and worse by the day. But still, it's not in years past with the Knicks where you give up a first round pick for like the next 2 years for an old aging player who used to do really great things. And now you don't have a first round pick for 3 years. And you got this guy who's like 30, maybe on the backside of a career. This is the inverted version. We actually have 2 first round picks, so we'd still have one. And we're getting a guy who's 25 years old, who's probably starting to enter his peak. And of all the bigs, and I love Mitch, so I'm not trying to say I'm like let Mitch got to go. I think Mitch is even younger, and I think he could develop into something great. But Miles Turner is already an elite rim protector, arguably the second best after Rudy Gobert, and he is much more of a modern 5 that fits with this roster very well. So Mitch in a first, I don't know if the Pacers are doing it. They might try to get more, and maybe they could.
Yeah,
but I'm listening. I'm calling. I'm taking calls. I'm checking my phone. Like, did they text back?
Trippy, man. I appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, thank you, Trip.
You nailed that one. Yeah. So, I mean, what other trade speculations? Here's one since we're on trades.
Well,
do we talk about Mike Muscala? It's all over the place right now, right? You look on Twitter, you look at a lot of the reports. Oklahoma, and they're saying, would we give up Obi and bring Mike over? What are your thoughts?
Wait, who are you talking
about? From the main speculation as of this morning was Mike Muscala from Oklahoma trading for Obi Toppin.
I haven't heard that. I don't even know. No. Obi's not going anywhere.
No need.
I don't want to get too ahead because look, the good thing the Knicks have done over the last few years is recognizing that, hey, we're not necessarily in a position to win the championship. We know that. We didn't compete for the playoffs until last year. They've avoided the cardinal sin. They've avoided giving away young assets for something shiny to try to win now, which is the move we've always done in the past. So I know a lot of Knicks fans are frustrated because we have not been buyers at the trade deadline forever. I don't remember. I think D Rose was like the last. That wasn't even the deadline trade. So this year there are rumors that the Knicks are making call. I don't know how real that we're actually buyers in the trade deadline because it's been a long time. But
so there's
another guy we've talked about on this show. I don't know if he's available. There's rumors that he may be available that I think is not the big splashy move. We've talked about this guy. I love this guy. He's also a great gamer. I think he's a big-time Warzone player. I'm hearing rumblings that maybe Terrence Ross could be discussed, and I love that I love that guy's game. He is something that the Knicks need. If you're not trying to do the big splashy, we could talk about Dame. I know there's rumors that the Knicks are interested in Ben Simmons and that, and the other big name that's out there. I don't know how real this is. All speculative. I know nothing. I have sources, but they don't tell me anything. But I mean, God, it feels like there could be like a De'Aaron Fox play here, and that would be so good. But it might cost a lot. But I would do it almost at this point. I want it. I just want it. I want it.
I love Fox too.
All right. Well, I got another guest back there.
This was a proposed trade for Ben Simmons. But Knicks received Ben Simmons and Isaiah Joe. I have no idea who that is. The Sixers receive, and by the way, this is not too different than the trade.
Whose proposal is this?
Is on NBAanalysis.net. So it's just I came up on Google.
Okay.
I'm not sure who wrote it exactly. Evan Massey. I'm not sure. But this is like a trade that could work. He basically said, and it's something that's like I think I would be comfortable with personally. Evan Fournier, Kemba Walker, Obi Toppin, Knicks 2022 first round pick unprotected, Knicks 2023 first round pick swap more favorable to Philly, Knicks 2024 first round pick, Knicks 2026 first round pick.
Who's this for?
This is for Ben Simmons.
Kemba, Fournier, Obi, and basically our next 3-4 years of first round picks.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, we still have a very young core there. We still have a young core, and Simmons is signed for a 4-year contract. So it means we have him and Randall locked up for long term. We got a lot of players on their rookie contracts. We don't have so much room where the next couple draft picks are going to be able to find a slot, because even our good draft picks now hardly can find a slot until COVID hits. If that's we lose our two. I don't think we're attached to Kemba and Fournier at all. We're losing Toppin, but listen, Toppin, he's young. He's not taking you to the next level. Ben Simmons is a superstar. You don't get superstars very often. And to give away 3 nice players, 3 first-round picks, it's not a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. But I think for the shot at a superstar in this league, I think I would do it.
I think that's the first one I've heard that it actually makes sense as far as what we would actually be giving to make it happen.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'm reading the article. It's it is a win-win trade. It's not an obvious trade for either team, I don't think.
I as of now, if that offer was on the table, I know that's someone just trying to see what trades make sense, right? And again, I think Morey has much more interests of win now. And you know what? If Kemba's knee, now they're reading it, maybe sore again. If Kemba could play, he would fit really good with Philly. If he could go 28, 30 minutes a game consistently in the playoffs. Fournier, look, we know, he could be a good fit there. They're having Tobias Harris issues, but Fournier is kind of like a version of that, where it's great one game, doesn't show up for 2 or 3 games. Although, if we want to talk bets later, I do like Fournier's over points tonight versus the Celtics, because both games against the Celtics is the only 2 great games he's had. I kind of like Fournier over points. We could discuss some fun bets for tonight's game if we want, but look, it's a lot. It's just a lot. It's a lot of picks, and who's now we lose Kemba, so that means is the backcourt. Rose is out now, so we're almost punting to next year. Simmons hasn't played a game in a long time. Rose is pretty much, we don't know what we're getting when he comes back. Fournier, our other playmaker, be gone. Kemba, our other point guard, gone. We're pretty much punting on this year, which means the value of our pick will be even better. But because then you're literally looking Quickly's the point guard. That's it. It's Quickly and RJ in the backcourt, and you're still running that's it. Ben Simmons is not going to come in and start running point right away.
Yeah. So let me run you through this one. I think this is another interesting trade. And again, it's not a layup, but it's definitely something worth talking through. Knicks receive Karl Anthony Towns, Jake Layman, Josh Okogie, and Jordan McLaughlin. I don't know the rest of those guys really well.
And it's Towns, really. Okogie's good.
Towns. Minnesota receives Fournier, Noel, Knox, Toppin, Quickly, Mitch, and 2 first-round picks.
No way. Hell no.
Delete that off your computer, Drew. Delete it completely.
Where was the line drawn there? I'm actually curious. I don't
The line was drawn like Obi, and then I was like, okay, and then we could like discuss like maybe pick swaps and stuff like that to sweeten it a little more. But you're talking about Obi, quickly. Who else did you say?
Mitch. Nah.
No. Not sure. Yeah. Knox, fine, sure, but
yeah, Knox is always free, guys. I know this guy in the backstage who wants to come talk on trades. Yeah. I kind of know him really well. It's actually my brother Phil. What's up, bud?
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
Phil, what's going on?
Hey, Phil, how you doing, bro?
Good. How
Phil,
are you
before
guys?
you even talk about your trade talks, my brother was recently in the hospital for surgeries and stuff, and was still tuning into our Knicks nights and had more than enough to say in the comment box that I had to text him through the shows and be like, can you rest? This is recorded,
Yeah, Phil, you got to get your rest. We appreciate you watching, but you got to make sure you get your rest, man.
I know, man. I've been taking naps every day, recovering from the tumor, but like I can't control emotions when it comes to like, Knicks games and Knicks trades talks, so it's like the little bit of energy I'm actually allowed to exude like on a day-to-day basis typically comes out when it comes to the Knicks. Like my frustrations, my joys.
I get it.
You're on a timer, bro. We're going to keep you on tack. So Phil, go ahead. I know you want to jump on and talk trades. What do you think?
Yeah. So quick trade talks. I feel like if we don't do something, we're going to do what we've done the last few years, and we're going to walk away from seeing other teams making trades that we should have done and going, why didn't we do that? Like in all these Facebook groups I'm in, I'll always say something, like last year I was like, we need to go for DeRozan and Ball, like while there's talks for it. Everyone said I was stupid. I was crazy. Here they are this year. They're all posting like we should have traded for DeMar and Lonzo. And I'm like, of course, now that they're succeeding somewhere else, like I think Fournier was a bust. I live in Florida. So the fact that I just love the NBA, I was, a nonstop Magic, pass holder for the last 2 years. I even like did a deliver the ball at a New York Knicks game, and I had to wear something else on top of my Starks jersey because they wouldn't let me onto the court without it. But so I've seen Fournier year in and year out be so inconsistent, and we should have gone for Terrence Ross. It would have been a cheaper ticket. He plays harder. He's got more consistent games where he comes off the bench and would make the Magic competitors even when they were playing teams that were 10 times better than them. And so I think for this year, we do need to go after Miles Turner because I feel like having him as our starter, and if Mitch comes back, having Mitch off the bench, our big men scenario is unstoppable. And then when it comes to, who we trade, who we don't, I like that Ben Simmons trade a lot, regardless of what people say about Simmons. Like, we don't need him to be this 3-point guard. We need the defense that we're missing from last year. And I feel like that trade is great, but I think we need to be careful to either keep Kemba or Obi because they have that New York fire and characteristic that we used to love about our old New York Knicks teams. Like when you saw Starks and you saw Houston and you saw Oakley and you saw Mason, it wasn't just that they were good players. It's that they had the heart of New York City. And we all gravitated towards that, which means like it was their passion, their zeal that have allowed us to stay Knicks fans over these last however many horrific, painful years in hopes that we find a player like that. And when it comes to Kemba and it comes to Obi, they have that diehard New York City mentality that can take us to the next level. So we just have to play that game of which one do we keep?
So I hear you there. Here's my thought though, with Kemba specifically. So Kemba's been his Knicks stint has been very short. Yeah. And when they benched him a couple weeks ago, I started mentally preparing for Kemba's departure. Yeah. So I think of all the players, I'm ready to I like Kemba, and I was super excited about Kemba joining the Knicks, and I actually really like his game. I think it fits well with the Knicks too. He has the unique ability to really break down a defense, but I think I'm mentally prepared. I'm mentally prepared because of where the coach felt like he wasn't fitting in. I got very comfortable with the idea that we might be moving on from Kemba. Yeah. So now as for Obi, listen, guys that are homegrown that are our rookies. Dude, I was miserable when Frank Ntilikina left, and he's like, and everyone hated Frank. I loved Frank. I thought that was so undervalued. So like, these are the kind of guys that I fall in love with, and I just like, I'm constantly waiting for them to develop. Listen, Obi right now. I mean, Obi's he's not a star ball player right now. He's a poor man's Amari. If he becomes on par with Amari, then he'll have an amazing career, and I hope that's what comes. But right now, he is an Energizer bunny off the bench, but like needs to develop his his fundamental skills a little bit better. Back to the best.
And I agree. And I think that's where coaching comes in. As much as I like Thibodeau, like he is not an offensive coach. We need to really invest in someone that can say, hey, let me take the offensive development off your plate so that our players can develop. Because you see the same thing with Mitch, like with his big old like lumpy legs. Like if we had an offensive minded coach that can help him with that and develop these players, the last thing I want is for us to trade Obi and then watch him become the superstar we all know that he could be, and meeting us in the playoffs and kicking our butts, because he is young and he does have that potential.
No doubt. Phil, you're the man, brother. And we hope you feel better too soon.
Yeah, man. Rest up.
Anything we
Thank
can
you guys. Appreciate it.
Anything we could do to help, Phil?
Just being
get
available.
a trade done. You want us to get a trade done?
Get a trade done. Jeff, make some calls, man. Like, use that.
Right,
so
buddy.
hopefully see you guys soon. Have a good one, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, Phil. Phil brought up an interesting point though too, right? Like the Fournier thing. He really was supposed to answer a lot of these issues that are happening right now, and it's just something that he maybe does like 30% of the time. 30% of the time he plays well and it looks right. I think Fournier made a lot of money off of what he did internationally. Like the guy's a different beast when he plays with his team in France, and it's a whole different thing. And like, I'm telling you, he got a lot of heat off that this past summer, and that I think led to the signing. The last bit on Simmons, okay? Like, and I still think that if you could get him, that's like a distressed asset that you hope. The thing is, you want to get it for a deal because it's a distressed asset. Drew, you know all about distressed assets and value.
Yeah, of course.
But with Simmons, though, just hear me out. If we're able to keep Randall and RJ, right, are we really going to run a lineup with Randall, RJ, and Ben Simmons? Like, that floor is going to be real. If Randall doesn't go back to the 42% three-point shooter, and if RJ doesn't go back to the 40% three-point shooter, which all trends are showing they are who they are, which is 32%, that floor gets really small.
Let's talk about that for a quick second. So you have the shooting guard. I would go with our rookie Grimes. So Grimes is going to spread the ball out. You know that.
I gotta see more. Right now we're dealing with like a 7-game sample.
Sure, that's fair.
Huge bet.
But without Fournier, you could see him stepping in and playing a more shoot, because he would go in that. Fournier's gone in that trade. So we need a shooting guard. We need someone who could spread the court out. Maybe we get a Buddy Hield. Who knows? But the point is, like,
T. Ross.
You need a T. Ross, but you need a 3-point shooter. And if it's Grimes, imagine the defense on a 1-2-3 of Grimes, Simmons, and RJ. Woo, that is.
I like it, but I think that we're going to have a hard time scoring.
That's the problem, especially with Mitch. That's the other challenge there. So in that lineup, Mitch is a bit of an issue. There's no doubt, because he can't. He's just a no bucket. So that's an issue. I hear you there. I understand. It would be interesting. The other way to think about it is, imagine, let's say we replace in that trade for a quick second. Trade stays exactly as it is, but you replace quickly with Kemba. Just throwing that out there for a quick second. Well, now you have Kemba, who's the guy who is the 3-point shooter, is a scorer. It can create space. Him, Simmons, and RJ, and
but we can't count on Kemba. Look, we had a count on him during this whole COVID
it's
stuff.
Unreliable. He was benched 2 weeks ago.
The knee's back to inflamed.
So the Simmons thing to me. The Simmons thing to me only makes sense if you are able to add a lot of other pieces, because then you got to build around him. And I just worry that we'll have enough assets left. Like, again, if it's Simmons of 2 years ago and that ends up being the asset you get, then you win. But if it's a little more of like the guy who we don't quite know where his head's at, And is he improving his game since he last played months and months and months ago? I would much rather go after Miles Turner, Terrence Ross, De'Aaron Fox, and keep as much of the core and draft picks intact. And if we're gonna roll all our picks and all that, then let's go do the Dame Lillard thing. Then let's go do, Obi top. Let's go do maybe RJ. Maybe it's quickly 4 first round. Then let's go after Dame instead of Ben Simmons if we're gonna throw the house at it. Like
I
that.
struggle with the idea of trading RJ. I really do. That's
Me too.
To me, that's probably the number one untouched player on the team.
That's why I say go Turner, Fox, try to add incrementally and keep as much assets in the war chest as you can. Because I know you need a superstar, and we just gotta hope that Randall and RJ get back to more games like they had last night.
Yep.
Perfect. Guys, great talks about trades. Love when we just spend time here because we've all got them. Let's jump in and see what the schedule's looking like.
Oh, yeah.
At what point do I change not scared to maybe scared? I don't know. Guys, I mean, we got back-to-back Boston.
Yeah, I'll actually be at the game on the 12th against Dallas. So nice. I'm in full. I look forward. Wait, is it Dallas the 12th? Sorry. Yeah, Dallas the 12th, right?
Yeah. KP's return to the Garden.
Yep. My birthday is the 11th. The 12th, I'm coming back to the Knicks, and I am the biggest KP hater I think you could possibly be. I am gonna boo. I'm gonna boo like I'm playing defense. I'm gonna boo KB like I'm actually sitting here, and the effort that I put into booing is gonna potentially lower his field goal percentage. Or
raise it. Yeah. I don't know. You never know. You might.
Guys, how are we feeling about the back-to-back Boston games?
Playoffs start now, in my opinion. I know it's hard to say that about a regular season game, and I just did a whole rant on Spaces yesterday in football where it's like no one remembers the regular season games that are like, oh, it was like a playoff game. No one really remembers those. They only remember playoff games. But man, if this Boston home and home goes awry, then yeah, we maybe get a reprieve with the Spurs and right into Dallas. Like, man, we really could be on the outside looking in, even in the play-in scenario. So I hate to say it's like a playoff series almost because it's not. There's still a lot of games left to turn this thing around, but this is huge. Like,
especially looking
got to go at least 1-1. I mean, 2-0. We're smiling doing this show next week. 0-2, and then you really got to start pressing the panic button if you haven't already.
What's the health situation on both teams? Do we know?
I don't think there's any massive COVID issues with the Celtics are pretty much like Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, ISO ball on offense, That's why I do like the Fournier over and even the Randall over. I think both of these teams are having defensive issues. Yeah, I like a lot of prop point overs tonight.
Yep.
So
what are your
we gotta really show up, especially at the Garden. It would be really great to just get this one out of the way, defend the home court, which you have not done all year. But I think everyone for the most part is healthy-ish. The benches are not deep, but I think all the main core players on both sides will be there, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we're both tied 18-20. This is it's an important game. There's no doubt. What do you think about this? I think I was thinking about this yesterday. I was watching Tatum play, the day before yesterday, whatever it was. Tatum reminds me of a poor man's McGrady.
Definitely similar games. I mean, the thing that's different, I mean, to me is like McGrady was playing a style that no one else really played, and there was not really anyone else like him. Now Tatum's even taller and longer than McGrady. Does McGrady underrated, like really good passer, even though the scoring was what everyone talked about, but McGrady was like Tatum hasn't, it's not that he's shown he can't but right now they're literally just ISO ball with him and Brown.
I think would you say McGrady's better than Tatum? I would say that confidently.
Yeah, I mean Tatum's still so young, so you got to give the guy. It's hard to stack it up because when you start thinking about Orlando McGrady and then Houston McGrady, he had the first, second, and third act. Yeah. Tatum is like finishing his first act, transitioning into his second act still, so he has a lot to go. I mean, if you were to stack up their careers at this point in time, it's pretty close.
The feeling for Tatum feels like McGrady, unless Tatum aligns with another superstar. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Jaylen Brown fan. I actually think Jaylen Brown is like a fantastically underrated
player. Great.
Fantastic. But that team's missing something. But if McGrady gets what Kobe had with Shaq, and LeBron had with Shaq, and Wade had with Shaq, and
right. The question is, can they get that and still hold on to Brown in the process? Right, like that's going to be the big test for Boston. Can they add a third piece? And I think they can, which would require them to probably. They've been talking about trading Marcus Smart or thinking about trade. Like he would probably have to be involved.
I would take Marcus Smart on the Knicks team. I don't care.
For sure. But
what I would be the happy. I mean, he's one of my favorite players in the league. That guy is 90s Knicks basketball.
He's great. I mean, there is a lot of do Brown and Tatum make sense together? Are they redundant because they're similar in game and style? Although Tatum, I think Brown goes a little harder defensively, but it's certainly interesting. And I'm psyched for tonight, man. This is gonna be a good one.
Have they updated us yet on Kemba? I mean, the knee's swollen. They were talking about he's probably out the next 3 games, but they haven't confirmed.
Yeah, I haven't heard any. Honestly, I haven't heard any definitive things.
They say he's avoiding surgery, which is good, but we shouldn't expect him to play these 2 games.
I don't know, man. I hate to say it, but I don't know how much more we see of Kemba.
Yeah.
Physically, I don't know.
What about is Mitch good right now? Where's he? Him and Sims.
I think Mitch might be in protocols, right?
I thought he was done now.
Oh, he's done already? I thought that was 2 days ago.
I thought so. I could be completely off. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
Sure.
I don't know, man. This is this really does feel like you're playing pickup, and it's like you have 10 guys, and the one guy's like, I gotta go home and eat dinner. It's like, yo, you're gonna end the game. You're our 10th man. You have to stay and play.
Yeah, no,
I kind of feel like is going on.
So we got Robinson and Sims in time for home games, so they both have cleared.
Oh, okay, great. So we're pretty close. I mean, we're not close to full strength. We're missing Kemba and Rose, but
full point guard position is derailed.
All right, so guys, we talked about doing some moments, right? We want to get our NFT action in on this.
Let's do it.
With us having 10 minutes left, I thought maybe we'd start a new segment called Fire Moments. So, I mean, I can sit here and talk all day, but I figured why not bring a guy who loves to talk about NBA Top Shot stuff all day? What up, Edge? How you doing, man?
Edge. You're on
mute. With the classic mute. All right.
I kept clearing my throat as you guys were chatting, and I wasn't sure if you could hear me, even though I wasn't on. So I was like, I better mute this thing, and then I just pull a rookie move. Yeah. Good to see you guys.
What's up, Edge?
How's it going?
Too, man. Hold on, bud. So, guys, I did some Top Shot moment research this morning for a little bit, right? So it looks like these are some of the hot ones right now on that list. All right, we got Anthony Edwards on there. We got Kelly. We got Gary Trent, Anthony Simmons.
I'm a big buyer of Anthony Edwards, by the way. Big buyer of Anthony Edwards.
Ant-Man? Yeah.
Dude, I think, let me see what I have of him, because he's a big I loaded up on his. So like,
do you have his Rising Star award?
I do. I believe I do. I'm checking right now. But so like my strategy, just to give you guys some context, like I've always been, and it's been my strategy to date. I don't know how long the strategy will be, but so far my strategy has been like I focus heavily on series ones. I focus on rookies of any series, and I focus on unopened packs. Like I don't open my packs. So like, which is like a crazy person move because it's so hard to not open them. But I think that packs will be valuable in the future. So I think the series one debut series, I think just like everything there is going to be valuable. Rookies, like anytime a new sports card fan comes in, when they're looking to figure out how do they enter the market, rookies is still one of the first things they all go to buy. So I'm a big believer in rookie plays. But yeah, I mean like Anthony Edwards, I'm just taking a quick look here. I have there's certain players that I like try to invest in through Top Shot. Like I try to get exposure to. So I have two of his Right now, I have 2 of his rookie throwdowns. I'm not sure, and then I have one of his like debut rookies. I don't actually know if I have his. What was the one you said he had? What was the other one? Edge. What's the other
Rising Star.
The Rising Star reward. I was just curious if you had it because it's needed for the LaMelo FE today.
Oh, really? I didn't even see that yet. So we can
we need to get on the ball here real quick because that actually wraps up in, let me look at it, 1 hour. So
tell us about it.
So basically, Top Shot has started this metallic silver fandom edition sets, and it started with Steph's record-breaking 3, and that was an incredibly difficult challenge to complete. I think there ended up being 618 total completions. Epic moment in the Garden. I completed the challenge, and then I bought another one with my gift back as well to hold on to. So basically, what happened is Top Shot's been continually doing these fandom tier metallic silver drops. They did a hero on that wild half court heave. He was like throwing a lob and it went in for, and there was like 1,200 mints on that. Mm-hmm. Then on Christmas Day, they did a 3-tier challenge where they had the Toppin, the Claxton, and the Giannis. So the Giannis is now officially the bottleneck for that set. But it is not as expensive as the Steph. So it's kind of one of those weird situations, kind of like the throwdown set, which I'll talk about in a minute. Mm-hmm. So what happened last night was it was Let It Fly was a challenge, and it was top 3-point attempts. It didn't matter how many you made unless you were tied with somebody, and the tiebreaker was obviously makes. So what ended up happening was it was a wild night. There were so many games. The flash challenges are great. I don't know if you guys have been participating in them.
I've done like 1 or 2 of them at best, and it's really hard for me to keep up with them. But can you talk a little bit about what a flash challenge is, and also like what is the time frame? Because it's usually the time, like the time to fill and the time when you actually find out what it is. Like that shit just confuses me, and that's like by that point I just like lose attention to it. So
yeah, if you're not logged in and like watching the games as they go, and Top Shot actually in their Discord has a channel now where it keeps live updates of the challenges that are going on, so it lets you know like who's in the top 5 spots that you're going to need for this challenge. So that's nice. And there's also a Twitter account that does live updates as well. So it's really easy to keep track. And basically it's turned into just speculative gambling. And you look at, so yeah, like for instance, last night, guy in the Wolfpack chat, I got to shout out the Wolfpack. I don't know if you guys know the Wolfpack on Top Shot, Diallo's Throwdown Series 2 sets, but I was invited to join them a few months ago, and I've learned a lot from them. They've been extremely beneficial to me in my Top Shot journey. But ended up last night, Anthony Simons, a reward from the Throwdown set was needed for this challenge. So it became the bottleneck for what is a LaMelo reward today. Okay. And so when you're talking about, can
you talk about the price to complete that whole challenge if you wanted to scoop it now?
Okay. So yeah. So to complete that whole challenge right now is, let me click on this. I'm on the moment. Right now it's $7,000 to complete that challenge. So here's the deal.
Basically, that is going to be valuable.
Well, you think that Top Shot has shown time and time again, people will pump moments and then dump them after the challenge just because they want to play the serial lottery. Now, I think this is a little different because of the cost that it's going to take to get the LaMelo. And I think that because people are starting to realize the utility that comes with set holding, those that bought the Simons may be prone to hang on to it and maybe even try to complete the Throwdown set itself because it is one of the larger sets with a lot of great players. Which brings added utility for nightly flash challenges, which brings added utility for the nightly moment ranks play.
I'm sorry, which set is that? Which set is that? What are you talking about?
So just talking about the Throwdown set. I'm just talking in general. The thought is that potentially the people who bought these Simons for the for the challenge, rather than dumping them after the challenge, they may hang on to that moment and go ahead and.
Dude, I'm looking at that right now. That Anthony, it's going for $4,000.
Yeah, people want this LaMelo. People want the LaMelo. So as the night went on last night, it was wild. So I sitting in the Wolfpack chat, just kind of paying attention to games. You know, we're keeping tabs on it. We're all locked in, and you know they start realizing, hey, this is going to be the bottleneck. Like this is our moment. And some of those guys had 2, 3, 4, 5 of these Simons moments stacked.
Love it.
So
what a play!
It became a great payday for them. Yeah. And also the great thing about the Wolfpack is we're very very good to loan each other moments that are needed for challenges and things like that. So me and another guy actually went together to complete this LaMelo, and then we're just going to sell it once we get the reward and split the money. Or if we get a really good serial and it's one we want to hang on to, we may figure out something else from there. But that goes on a lot in there as well. So these flash challenges, just if you're able to pay attention and you're able to have an analytical mind when it comes to basketball and realize like rotations, understand rotations, what type of defense they're facing, who's out obviously is going to make a huge difference. Who's going to get up more shots? What's the usage going to be like on this night? So projections are huge. So then I use a site like Establish the Run to look at NBA projections and kind of use those tools to kind of guide me in maybe making a few speculative buys. So like last night, a guy in our Wolfpack chat named Farron said, Gary Trent Jr. is going to be putting up shots tonight. He doesn't have a challenge reward. The next step, if you didn't have a challenge reward and that player made it into the top 5 for 3-point attempts, was a rare moment. He only had one, and it was a Series 2 $4.99. So the thought was, okay, he could be the bottleneck early on. So I bought one of those for like $185 early in the night, and I sold it later in the night for $350.
Damn.
Right before I started seeing, and that's what's part of it. You start paying attention. You start seeing like, oh, he's going to get passed and drop out of top 5. People are still trying to flip and speculatively buy after the price is already elevated.
By the way, this is so brilliant by NBA Top Shot.
Oh, absolutely.
This is all the amazing thing about Top Shot is that you're starting to see like a DFS approach to Top Shot.
Right.
And that is
without the money, it's us spending money. They're not. Exactly. So
it's brilliant.
So there was another point in the night where the first half of the Jazz game, Rudy Gay put up like 5 or 6 threes, and he only has one rare, and it's the Series 1 out of 299. So that would have been an incredibly small bottleneck. So I bought 2 of those. Being a Spurs fan, a Spurs team set holder, I was like, you know what? I don't mind grabbing these. I think I got one for 165, and then I bought number 122, which is jersey numbers 22, and I kind of like getting serials that have their jersey number in them. And I got it for 200, and then I ended up flipping one of them for 500 and one of them for 420, I think. So I ended up making $600 on the flash challenge last night, and we're going to complete it. And then we're going to sell the reward and make a little bit more there. So everybody who is out on Top Shot because they got burned back in March, totally understandable. There were a lot of people that jumped in at just the exact wrong time during the massive pump, and they got burned, and they haven't looked back. But if you're willing to give it a second shot, this is the time to do it with Top Shot. Things are changing. The momentum is all in the positive direction. The market is rising on the daily. The set utility is just becoming more and more apparent, which is kind of what I've refocused my strategy on. I completed the run it back set just to have a rare set done because I think, number one, I graduated in 2006 from high school, and that was where the run it back series that set came from. So I was like, all right, this is just a no-brainer. I've got to do it. These are all my favorite players. I love Duncan and AI were my 2 guys growing up.
I love that.
Both in the set. The Shaq debut was in the set, even though he's on the Heat. I still really like that moment. Wade's debut, LeBron's first moment on the Cavs. It's just loaded. It's loaded with great moments.
I'm halfway through that set, Edge, right now.
Chris Paul rookie, Steve Nash MVP season.
Edge, I got to tell you, man, it sounds like we might have to tap you in on a weekly basis to give us some Top Shot direction, kind of be like our Top Shot guru.
He needs entrance music.
I'm telling you.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, all it is that I went full. I mean, when I learned about Top Shot, I read the Bales article like many people. I made my account. I bought a few moments early on, not nearly enough. And then held throughout the summer, did the Cool Cats Master Challenge, still hold that set. I just see the future in it. I know there's going to be downturns. I just continue to ride it out. But as you can see, the gamification of it by utilizing moments in flash challenges, using them on Moment Ranks Play, which we haven't talked about, which is sponsored by Top Shot. They have a partnership with Moment Ranks, and it's a daily competition where you use your moments that you have in your collection. And it is a DFS style. You pick 5 players, 5 moments, and then you're stacked up against roughly about 3,000 other entries each night and cash prizes. I think I got 62nd overall last night. I won $5, but like first place, I think might win $300, $400, something like that.
Why do I feel like Drew walked off just to go get his card information to give to you?
but for real though, I think this is great. Like there's just so much happening in Top Shot right now. I think it's still one of the top tier NFT collections. Edge, if you want to come back and like be one of our Top Shot analysts, where we can like bring you in for segments and talk Top Shot,
Sure.
love to have this consistently. I think this is a fantastic thing to have in the show.
Help me make money, Edge. I mean, yes.
Hey,
come back.
When did you
Hit
get
me
into Terry, what was your Top Shot situation? Like, did you get in early, mid, late? Did you make a big collection?
Did you say me? I
Yeah,
broke up
Terry,
saying-
yeah.
So I'm one of the guys that Edge was sort of talking about. I mean, I didn't get in and get burned. I didn't like lose any money really to speak of, but I got in at a time where it was like, okay, now this just really starts to feel like a buy and flip. Like there was no real utility at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I haven't looked back because I had a bit. I've been tracking it, watching it. I've just, even with Zed, like I'm even in talks to have someone kind of help me run my stable, because with the two kids, I'm just running out of like play. So I actually need someone who I could talk to, like Edge, to. Again, I know you got a lot of stuff going on, so I don't expect you to give away all your trade secrets here, but you know, I don't have the amount of time to do all the work, and it's not because I can't. It's just the kids won't allow it at this point. Although it would probably pay for their college, little do they know. So yeah, like I just was waiting on the utility, and it didn't click when I had that before our son was born. It just, I had the time then. That's why I went big on Zed. And now I can't even run my Zed stable any longer, and I would love to come back in now, but like with some advisement, because I know so much has changed since I really was buying moments.
Well, I will tell you, we definitely have something coming down the pipe that we can help you with your Zed stuff. And then Edge, he's the reason I got a Top Shot. I actually have one Top Shot. I'm new to it all, and Edge made sure to hook me up. So, you know, Edge, we got to get you back each week, man.
Love to come back and chop it up. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm done with fantasy sports, so this would be the perfect replacement.
That's what I transitioned out of year-long fantasy. I mean,
stupid, dumb,
years
makes
ago,
no sense.
Like it's the cost. It makes no sense. The time you're putting into it. So I played DFS pretty heavily the last 5 years, and I've even kind of gotten away from that. I play a few casual lineups every. Oh, this is so much cooler, so much more fun. I have so many more people that I engage with on a daily basis, revolving around this. We all have mutual interests, so it's DFS. You know, I was just kind of doing my own research and just kind of putting in my own lineups, and it's just kind of you're solo, you're kind of isolated. But this is a very inclusive community.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think you touched on something good, and we could wrap up with this. It's the thing I loved about fantasy sports so much was the camaraderie with your friends, the live drafts, the like all that great trash talk. That's gone. Like I don't even I just get a couple of offensive trade offers every year that I like will curse back at the person. But no, that's gone. DFS is a lone wolf thing. So this feels much more like a community with the gambling fantasy element to it. And you actually get to participate in the games in a way that there's like even human error could be accounted for, where you're not just playing a COVID injury.
Edge,
Edge, if you want to kind of help me throughout this show, that might be the way in. Get me back.
Love it. Let's get it. Edge, what's your grail?
My grail?
Yeah. Do you have what's your number one moment?
My number one moment, I do have it. The only one it's the Tim Duncan run it back, Tim Duncan Top Shot debut from Series 1. Yeah. I just, when I first logged into Top Shot, that moment was $300. And I thought at that time, I had literally just read the Bales article and I was trying to wrap my head around it. I didn't know anything about NFTs. I had bought into crypto 6-8 months before that. I knew what crypto was. I just, kind of slow getting around to it. And I've in the past been very, very conservative with my cash flow, and being a teacher, there wasn't much of a cash flow. So once I finally decided to go all in and put in a significant amount, it paid off. And
that's my grail right there, Edge, by the way.
Ja.
That's my number one moment by far.
It is so sick. And the more I was very worried about his just his general build and stature, and just like how he's one
that's my favorite moment in all of Top Shot right there.
Now that one is one that'll stand the test of time. I mean,
that's my favorite moment on Top Shot.
Vince's Hall of Famer last shot. It's a must own if you're on the platform.
First of all, against the Knicks, it's like it hits like everything for me. Knicks are in the fucking shot. Vince Carter's last shot in the NBA literally caught as a Top Shot moment. and it's my favorite series of all time, which are Cosmics, which I'll buy. I'd buy any Cosmic anytime. I'm a huge Cosmic collector. That's my number
And it was
one.
the last guy I was older than in the NBA. The minute he retired, I
That was
became
it.
officially older than every player in the NBA. In every show.
I'm-
It comes up
I'm
somehow
fast.
every damn show.
I'm fast approaching that as well. Drew, before we get off here, do you have the moments you need to do the showcase to get your LaMelo?
I don't think so, because it's mostly
Okay.
Series 2s and Series 3s, right?
Well, if you said you had the Edwards throwdown reward
Look, let me take a look. Yeah.
or Rising Star reward, if
So
you
hold
have
on.
that,
So if you go to LaMelo, I'm going to LaMelo. I go to that
Guys,
channel.
I gotta jump off real
Yeah.
quick.
Let's
You guys should keep
Edge.
talking.
No, Edge, we'll talk.
No,
about
keep
that.
going. I gotta jump because I got.
later. We can talk
Yeah,
later.
Thanks,
No big
Jay.
deal.
Appreciate
I don't,
everybody
but you guys gotta
tuning
keep
in.
going. Go.
gotta run to
Appreciate
that.
everybody tuning in. We're about to nerd out on some Top Shot.
Yeah.
Tune in every Thursday, 2:00 Eastern. Bing Bong, Knicks Nights. Have a great. Let's go. We need a W tonight. Let's make it happen.
The W.
Sweep.
Let-